Hello, so here I am, and now we are going to resume from our last video, from our last discussion, which is about non-positivism. So I am here, Dr. Ekta Jain Sethi, and I'm here to talk a little about non-positivism. And I've started doing that. We did that in the previous videos also, and you can check the links and you can follow them and see that what all we had already done. So in this one specifically, I would want to pick one perspective of non-positivism, and we will deal with that in some detail. So let's see. I'll just okay, have it here. Let me share my screen with you all. So here you go. Now, before this, I have to say that this is on behalf of Sri Ram's IAS, and the institute has been working for now. It's been more than 35 years, and the idea is to make this journey of UPSC as easy and as simple for all of you. So the digital courses are now out, and for example, the sociology optional, which I am taking myself, the course has begun from 15th April. Yesterday we had the first class, 15th April, and timings are 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And it was just an introductory class. So all of you who are interested, please go ahead and enroll yourselves, because whatever is there in these videos, that's brief, and the classes are being conducted in a slightly different fashion. So this is about the faculty at Sri Ram's IAS. Then of course, why? Because the way it is being taught, the material, the effect of the effective language, everything will be taken care of in these courses. Then of course, there are different courses which are being offered. As I was telling you about sociology optional, you have timings from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. here. Now, this is a very interesting thing and very useful for students out there, because at Sri Rams, we hope that through these digital courses, we are able to serve a much wider audience out there. So this is a small offer from their side. So about a foundation batch, and of course these are results, and these are only a few of them on the slide, and there is the results have been really phenomenal over the time, and that's why this is something which you all can look at. About myself, I am Dr. Ekta Jain Sethi, as I've already introduced you, and I will be taking sociology optional. So I've been connected with the discipline of sociology for past some time. I've been a gold medalist in this paper since school. Then I went on, I did my BA honors from NSR in sociology, and PhD from JNU. And the discipline itself, the sociology, the idea of sociology is very close to me. So I've been associated with it for a long time. I've worked with students for a long time. Now it's been more than 8 years. And at Sri Ram's IAS, I hope that through these courses, through these classes, we get on this journey and make it a rich experience of learning as well as effective results. Okay, so you're learning these and you want them to put into effect. So please put in your hard work and aim for your goal in the best manner possible. Now, without taking much time, yes. So I think we had begun with non-positivism earlier. In one of my earlier videos, I have talked about it. You can check the videos out. And here I will continue with it. So before continuing, I mean, let's uh, go through what we have. I think just in a jiffy what we have talked about. So let's see. Okay. Okay. Chali. Let's see. Um, so we have discussed about positivism, and we've discussed about non-positivism. About positivism, we saw that how this was an approach which was a scientific approach of learning, and they were learning the objective reality in an objective manner. The stress was on theorizing. The stress was uh, on predictability, on testability, on your deductive approach, on universality of theories. And on the other hand, non-positivism stands in stark opposite to positivism. So if we are talking about non-positivism, we are dealing with the internal aspects, So first and foremost, this becomes a humanistic approach, not a scientific approach. This is humanistic. You're dealing with the internal. Theorizing is not important. Understanding a phenomena is important in this case. Your focus is on understanding. Testing and predictability is not possible. Can you test and predict societies? No. If a certain family, if a certain group is feeding in believes that nuclear families are better, so their belief will not always remain so, right? Over time it will change. Also, maybe they are believing so in some particular metro city, and if you go in a two-tier city, in a three-tier city, maybe the belief will be different, right? So prediction is not possible, testing is not possible. In 5 years their belief will change, it might change. So there are several other aspects. So basically, in non-positivism, what we had done was that you are studying subjective. It's a subjective study of subjective reality. Okay? So your subject matter is itself dynamic. It is changing. It is subjective, and you are also studying it in a subjective manner. Okay, so you are not believing in cause and effect relationship. Now again, here we talked about Weber, who comes as an exception because he though his content, his study matter was subjective. He was interested in studying human beings. Was interested in studying the social action by human beings, but his method was objective, right? So you are he was trying to build a cause and effect relationship to study social action, right? So he's studying subjective reality in an objective manner. Okay, this is a subjective study through objective reality, through objective way. So he was building a cause and effect relationships while studying social action. So he comes across as an exception, and you have to remember that he was an early positivist. So later on in non-positivism, you realize that people started saying that no, this is not happening. We are not going to connect with science at all, and you cannot do a cause and effect relationship in context of sociology. Of course, with time, even this changed. Okay, with time, even this changed. So, with time, there was what we call integration of approaches. Okay, now this we had not done earlier. What with time we saw integration of approaches. There is an integration. So, for example, there are people like Parsons, then there is C. Wright Mills, there are others also. So, they try to integrate approach. So, Parsons, for example, has integrated micro macro approaches. Okay, we will be doing Parsons in detail. C. Wright Mills, for example, um, integrated scientific humanistic approach. Karl Popper, for that matter, Karl Popper, he integrated inductive deductive approaches. So there was what you can see is there was an integration of approaches by these people. Okay, there was an integration. So with time, there was these barriers between positivism and non-positivism. They became blurred. Okay, and then even later, the idea was that it totally depends on the nature of the research problem. It totally depends on what you are studying. So your method has to change accordingly. So later, people like David Harvey, they did not believe in compartmentalizing themselves in either of these brackets. Okay, so according to them, it totally depends on what you are studying, and accordingly, you will change your approach. Okay, okay. Now let's move ahead. We went through this that what non-positivism entailed. We went through the basic concept, basic idea of non-positivism, about Weber and non-positivism, about G.H. Mead. We began with a little of interpretative and phenomenological approach. Today, in this video, the focus would be on symbolic interactionism. Now, this is a very interesting approach, first and foremost. So, for anybody who's interested in reading, please do check this approach. It's a very interesting one. You have people like George Herbert Mead himself. Then, of course, you have Herbert Blumer. Then you have Irving Goffman. So these are some of the prominent names when you talk about symbolic interactionism. Okay. I'll put them here. There's, of course, G.H. Mead. Then there is Herbert Blumer, and of course there's also Irving Goffman. Now, Irving Goffman is someone who's not there in UPSC in your syllabus, so you don't have to put much time into it. But I will suggest you that you should have some idea, because when you are writing your answers, if you write a line here and there, or if you mention the name where you can, it just adds on to your answers. Okay, it adds on to the idea that you've read, you know about these things. Okay, so when I'll be telling you, I'll also talk about Irving Goffman, of course, in short, but a part of it you can use for your answers. Okay. Now, first and foremost, symbolic interactionism. About symbolic interactionism. So, as the name suggests, it is about symbols. Okay. You are studying symbols, you are understanding how through symbols you are interacting. Okay. Now, the foundation of symbolic interactionism was laid by George Herbert Mead. Okay. So, George Herbert Mead, an American social behaviorist. Okay, it's mentioned here, American social behaviorist George Herbert Mead. He's credited to lay foundations of symbolic interactionism. Okay, and later his student Herbert Blumer, he compiled all of this and he coined the term symbolic interactionism. Okay, he gave a official format to the approach of Mead. Now, basically, in symbolic interactionism, you will see that the focus is on micro level interaction. You are not looking at large societies instantly, okay? You are looking at micro level of interaction. You are seeing how meanings are constructed, how they are being transmitted, okay? So, you are looking at micro level interaction, micro level interaction. You are seeing how meanings are being created and transmitted. Okay, so you are seeing you are not seeing interaction in large societies. You are looking at it in smaller groups. You are looking at it amongst individuals, and through this interaction you are seeing that how meanings are being constructed and transmitted. So this was the focus, this was the main subject matter for symbolic interactionism. Then, as I told you, Bloomer in 1937 he coined the term. So till then, Mead was explaining it. Mead gave his approach, but in 1937 we have the word symbolic interactionism with us. Okay, in 1937 we have it with us. Now, what symbolic interactionism did was very interesting. Okay, of course it was anti-positivism, so it rejected certain things. Okay, now what did it reject? Let's see. Very interesting. It rejected biological determinism and it also rejected social determinism. Now, what does this mean? I will explain you. Now, basically, what he meant was neither a biology is completely responsible for understanding society, for understanding human action, human reaction. Neither it is only the society through which action is happening, neither it is only the society which is creating meanings. Like individual kuch hai hi nahi, right? So symbolic interactionism rejected this idea. So in that case we can say that symbolic interactionism rejected biological determinism as well as social determinism. According to them, human beings were not passive, they were continuously interacting in society. Okay, so then according to me, the human behavior was being governed by social processes. The people would interpret the world around them and people would give meanings to their lives. So continuously there are social processes happening around us, okay, through which you are interpreting the world around you and you are giving meaning to your life. So the agency, the idea of the idea of thought, that is ingrained in human beings. So basically, according to Mead, you are governed by social processes. Okay, then you are interpreting the world around you. So governed by social processes, people are interpreting the world around them, and people are giving meaning to their lives. Okay, it's basically that. Now, because it is happening through symbols are both verbal and non-verbal. So there is a continuous meaning which is coming through languages, through gestures. Okay, and the basic features that we see, basic features, I've talked about them right now. That is, human beings are social, human beings are social and thinking beings. Okay, so then in that case, it's not only biological or social determinism. Human beings are social and thinking beings. The cause of action lies in the present. Cause of action lies in the present. It lies in the processes around us. It lies in the society around us. So it lies in the present. Then you are perceiving, the human beings are perceiving their environment subjectively. Perceiving environments subjectively. What does this mean? For example, now this is something very easy to understand. Within the same house, there are two sisters. Both the sisters are getting everything in the same way, right? They are being brought up in the same way. Yet they both will differ, right? They would have different perspectives, different thoughts toward ideas. Okay, even though सब कुछ same है, they've been given the same teachings, same schooling, everything has been same for both of them. Yet the way they approach things, yet the way they approach life will be different because of their subjectivity, right? Even though they are sisters, even though everything has been same, they both are different human beings. Okay, so they are going to perceive their environments subjectively. And of course, last but not the least, that human beings are not passive. Not passive. So these are important features when you are talking about symbolic interactionism, which should be on your fingertips. Okay, as soon as symbolic interactionism is asked, or there's any mention of symbolic interactionism, ये चार चीजें instantly दिमाग में आ जानी चाहिए. Now coming to symbols. Now symbols basically they are helping you to deal with the entire social and material world. You are trying to, you name things, you categorize things, you label things. So you are continuously understanding and you are continuously managing the social and the material worlds. Then your ability to think has improved, right? Through symbols, your ability to think improves, right? It makes you think. And use of symbols transcend time and space. Okay, so there are some symbols which are same across groups, some that are same across time period, and some which change with time, which change with groups. Okay, so for example, in a certain group, for one society, maybe this is considered as a nice symbol that you are greeting someone, right? For another society, maybe this meaning will be something else, right? So these become specific of space, specific of time. Okay, they differ with different groups, and that's why symbolic interactionism, initially it was said that it is micro level interaction. Okay, so you cannot say that whatever is happening in one particular group, if there this means namaste, it would mean namaste across all groups. Okay, so you cannot universalize in this case. So first and foremost that, and of course, yet they are shared. Meanings are shared, symbols are shared. Until and unless इसका जो मीनिंग मेरे लिए है वही मीनिंग सामने वाले के लिए होगा, until and unless ऐसा नहीं होता, this as a symbol becomes useless. Okay, we both have to share this meaning that this means namaste, right? So that way the meanings are shared, and they are specific of a social group, they are specific of time, and yet they are shared, yet they are shared. Okay, and that's why this is a micro approach. Now let's first come to the slide, then we'll talk further. So we saw that George Herbert Mead, American social behaviorist, he is credited to lay the foundations for interactionism. Now the focus is micro level interaction. I've already told you this, micro level interaction, and the way in which meanings are constructed and transmitted across members of society. We've talked about this, right? Great. So I think there was some technical glitch, but now we are back. So yes, let's see. Over here. So meanings are being constructed and transmitted across members of society. G.H. Mead argued that individual self is a social self produced in the process of interaction rather than biologically given. Okay, so it is a social self, and It is not only biological, and in fact, when he's saying it's a social self, does not mean that only society. What he means is interaction. Okay, it means that there is the human being who's responsible for their own social action and the meaning that they are creating and transmitting. Socialization, then, it's a dynamic process that allows people to develop the ability to think, develop in distinctively human ways. So this is important. That what is socialization, and socialization forms the crux of this idea of symbolic interactionism. Okay, interaction is the process in which the ability to think is both developed and expressed. Now, according to Bloomer, non-symbolic interaction does not require thinking, but symbolic interaction requires thinking. So when we are saying that human beings are involved in symbolic interaction, that means I'm thinking, that's why I'm doing this. Okay, I know I can think, and that's how I am acting it out. Now, a symbol does not simply stand for an object or event, it defines them in a particular way and indicates a response to the action. Without symbols, there would be no human interaction and no human society. So, symbol becomes important, especially in context of symbolic interaction. Okay. Now, now let's first, ये बहुत चीज़ें दिख रही हैं आपको, I, me, whatever. Don't worry about it. We'll take it one by one. Let's first talk about the slide, then we'll talk further. Now, for meet के context में you have to remember these two things, I and me. Okay, that is how he talks about self. Okay, basically that is how he talks about self. That it is through the interaction between I and me that self is being created. Now, what is this I? What is this me? We will see. And again, I'm telling you, this is in short because GH Mead, George Herbert Mead, is also a subtopic, and this should be done properly in the class. Now, two aspects of self according to Mead, I and me. The self is essentially a social process going on through these two phases. Okay, so I and me are the processes within the larger process of self. The self is a large process. Within self, you have I and me. I is the immediate response of an individual to others. So what is I? Immediate response. Okay, in which you are not thinking, you are not calculating. This is an instant response. For example, in many households, as soon as some elder comes, you would touch their feet. Now you are not thinking and doing it. This is your I, this is your being, this is what you do. So this is an unpredictable reaction. People do not know in advance that what is going to happen. For example, somebody whom you do not like, that person has come. So even if everyone else is touching their feet, maybe your instant reaction would be to leave the room. You just dislike someone so much that you will just leave the room. So you haven't thought about it. This is an instant reaction which came. You didn't know that this person is coming, and suddenly, as soon as you see him or her, you leave the room. You are never totally aware of the I. So because of this unpredictability, you don't know how your I will react. Okay. Now there are 4 reasons why this I becomes important. It is a key source of novelty in social processes. Now all of us will react unpredictably in different manner, right? So all of us might touch feet, but the I will be where we all will differ, right? So there is a creative dimension to it. Okay, that is the innovation. Mead believes that it is the I that our most important values are located in. Okay, so it is your intrinsic self, आपका real self, which comes through I. The I constitutes something we all seek. That is the realization of self. That is what you want to be. This is your actual self. This is your real self. It is the I that permits us to develop a definite personality. Of course, because it is unique, because it is about you, because you are realizing your true self. Through I, you are developing your personality. Okay, so I becomes really important in that context. For me, it is about being dynamic, it is about being creative. Now the problem here is, in fact, Mead also says that some degree of me is important in all human beings. Now why? First, before that, let's see what is me. Me is the adoption of the generalized other. Okay, now what does that mean? In contrast to the I, people are conscious of the me. Me involves responsibility. Me is conventional habitual behavior. So me is the more calculated behavior. Certain things are expected from us. Like people expect that when this person is coming, when like say some dignitary has come, people expect us to get up and greet the person. So it is your me. This is your thought wala me. You have thought about it. You are thinking. You've been told. This is an expectation to which you are confirming. You are acting out yourself according to the expectation. Okay. So this is me. Totally different from I. Now, according to conformists, for conformists, people who conform to expectations, who conform to society, who conform to rules, there the degree of me will be higher, while people who don't, for them the degree of I will be higher. Okay. Now, according to me, the very interesting thing that he also says is that some degree, some level of me should exist in all human beings. Okay. Now, why do you think so? In case there is no level of me in human beings, the rate of deviance will be really high, right? Who are the criminals? Who are the deviants? People who do not who do not agree to the expectations of society, right? So not always, but in most cases, the point is that if your I is too high and there is no idea of me within you, then that society will face a lot of deviance. Okay, so according to me, some level of me is also quite important when you're talking about interaction and when you're talking about society. So basically, this is about I and me, and through all of these, you can understand society, you can understand human behavior. So this was an important contribution of Mead, and this will be done in detail during when you come to Mead, when you come to George Herbert Mead in class. Now, before that, first let's talk a little about symbolic interactionism, what we have done till now. So there are a lot of other terms in symbolic interactionism which you should be knowing, which you would know when you read about it. So for example, there's an idea of role taking, there's an idea of others. Now these others are divided into, say, significant others, and there are generalized others. Okay. Then of course there are stages. So there is a play stage and there is a game stage. So these are different concepts when you're talking about symbolic interactionism. So I'll talk in brief about these. Now basically role taking is when you are when you're placing yourself and you're in someone else's shoes. Okay, you are saying that how this person will react, or then how will I react. So you have imagined an entire scene. So you are role taking. You are taking the role of someone with whom you are interacting. Now this role taking can happen, this role taking happens in these stages. So it happens both in play stage and game stage. Play stage is nothing. Play stage is very simple. When you are not aware about this is something which we all do since childhood. We have been taking on roles and we have been playing the roles without calculating things, right? So this is your play stage. Game stage, on the other hand, is the stage when you are calculating, when you are processing. For example, you are taking the role of your mom or of your dad, and you are seeing how will your dad react if you put this demand. If you say, I want to drive a car today, what will be the reaction? Then what will you say? Then what will happen? So that becomes your game stage. Similarly, किनके role आप लेते हो? You take the role of significant others, you take the role of generalized others. Significant others, as the name suggests, it is of the significant people who are significant to you. So this will include your parents, your family, your friends, your teachers. All of them become your significant others. Generalized other will be everyone else. जिनके ideas, जिनके expectations, जिनके beliefs, जिनके reactions, they don't matter to you. So they become your generalized others. So there are all these things which become important when you are talking of symbolic interactionism and when you are seeing interaction. Now, the process of role taking involves the individual taking on the role of another, as I told you. On the basis of this interpretation, he makes a response of his own action. Okay, so he interprets how will the other person react, then how will I react. So he has imagined the whole scene, he or she, and accordingly they are acting out. Through the process of role taking, the individual develops a concept of self. By placing himself or herself in the position of others, they can look back at their own self. Okay, two main stages of this role taking. I told you play stage and game stage. Now, play stage, it involves the child playing roles which are not his own. For example, the child may play being a mother, father, doctor, nurse. Game stage, on the other hand, will be child playing a role from the perspective of of someone else. So you are now doing something. For example, you are becoming your own mother because you have imagined something, you are thinking something. So this is a game stage. You are taking the perspective of the other into account. The generalized other is the attitude of the entire community. Okay, it is the attitude of the entire community, the perception of the entire community. The ability to take role of the generalized other is essential to the self. So you have to think how the generalized other will perceive, what is the expectation of the generalized other, and that becomes important when you are creating your own self. So these are some of the terms in when you talk about symbolic interactionism. Now, with symbolic interactionism, there are different things which are aligned. So you have looking glass self, you have dramaturgical analysis, and this is something that we will take up in the next video. But as of now, I think you got an introduction to symbolic interactionism. Again, it's a very interesting theory. It's a work of G.H. Mead. We know how he went about it. We know what was the focus on meaning, on symbol, on it being continuously created, transmitted, on the fact that biological determinism and social determinism were completely rejected, how symbols are important, right? The features of symbols, that what they do, these are the features of symbols. Then we did a little bit of the theory of I and me, how, what is I, what is me, what is the interaction between the two, creation of self. Okay, we knew the importance of I, we know how some degree of me is also necessary. And then we came to the different terms. We know how an individual takes on the role for interaction. This is happening in play stage, game stage, and you are perceiving the perception of the significant other and generalized other for the creation of self. And the generalized other's perception becomes really important for the perception, for the creation of self. So with this, I stop here, and in the next series, we'll be continuing with this, and let's see how it goes. So all the best to all of you, and we'll be posting the links of the course. The course is has begun from 15th April, 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. for sociology optional. So anybody who's interested must go check it out, check the course outline, check this class schedules, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.